Hey guys, how's everyone doing? This is Sir Jedi Sentinel, and welcome back to Sentinel Reviews. This month, Doctor Who, Once in Future, continues with Two's Company. Originally released in August of 2023, written by Lisa McMullen, directed by Helen Goldwyn. Two's Company stars Colin Baker as the Sixth Doctor, Christopher Naylor as Harry Sullivan, Camille Coduri as Jackie Tyler, Michelle Ryan as Lady Christina D'Souza, and Michael Maloney as the Renegade. As always, because I do these unscripted, I am putting a blanket spoiler warning in place. If you do not wish to be spoiled, then in the description box below will be the link to Big Finish's website, where you can purchase Two's Company, either in standard edition or limited edition. I am going to try to be scant on spoilers, but there is one thing that I do have to spoil in order to talk about a little bit. And I really enjoy Two's Company. Because, first of all, compared to the last four stories we got, four, right? Past Company, no, three. Past Lives, The Artist at the End of Time, and A Genius for War. Two's Company is going for something completely different from those. First of all, it's much more lighthearted in tone. This is more, I don't want to say farcical, because it's not a farce, but it is more comedic. It is more fun. And also, it is very small scale. You know, the last three stories were all very big and epic in scale. You know, in Past Lives, the Fourth Doctor was trying to stop an invasion of Earth. In The Artist at the End of Time, someone was destroying worlds. And then, of course, we had the Time War in A Genius for War. Compared to those last three, Two Lives is such smaller scale. Just in its execution, Two's Company is a very different story, and it is very refreshing for this series, for this celebration. So the plot is that now, in his degeneration effect, the Doctor has stabilized into his sixth incarnation, Colin Baker, and you know, he's once again trying to find the cause when he is directed to find Harry Sullivan. And he will also cross paths with Jackie Tyler and Lady Christina D'Souza. I'm going to talk about that a little more in a second because there is something in the grand scheme of things I want to talk about that. So first of all, let me say the performances are really good. Colin Baker, as always, is spectacular. You know, for as much as I've seen of the Colin Baker era and listened to the audios, I don't think he's ever given a bad performance. Even if it's on a bad story, a story he dislikes, or a story he disagrees with, he gives it his all. And more often than not, he is the best thing about a Sixth Doctor story. Or not. You know, like I just said in The Artist at the End of Time, him as the curator was the best thing about that story. But for once, that's not the case. I was very shocked by this. We have a good Colin Baker story where Colin Baker is not the best thing about it. Instead, that honor goes to Camille Coduri and Michelle Ryan. Again, Jackie Tyler and Lady Christina D'Souza is a very weird pairing, but Camille and Michelle have such an amazing chemistry, and they play off each other so well. Further amplified by adding Colin into the mix. They all three bounce off each other really well, especially, you know, once Jackie realizes the Sixth Doctor is the Doctor, and, you know, given her tense relationship and sort of strong dislike for the Doctor, and just Colin's sheer confusion at why this woman doesn't like him, it's very enjoyable, and it contributes to a lot of the comedy which works. The one weak point in the performances, I would have to say, is Christopher Naylor as Harry Sullivan. I think in part it's because he's trying to play Harry, the oldest we've ever seen him. You know, even though Ian Marter was, we lost Ian Marter, who fairly young, I believe, if memory serves. This story sees Harry alive well into the early 2000s. This story is set in 2006. And I know there was a point of contention for a lot of people because the standard edition cover art showed Harry much older than we've ever seen him. I'm not opening that can of worms. I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to get back to my point that I feel Christopher Naylor was the weakest performance in this story. I think in part because I haven't heard Christopher Naylor's Harry Sullivan in anything else. The closest I've heard was his cameos as Harry Sullivan in the Doctor Who Unbound Doctor of War sets. He cameos right at the very start of Genesis and then at the very end of Destiny. I haven't heard any of the other things he's been in. I haven't heard the Lost Stories. I haven't heard the Seventh Doctor stuff he's done. People say he's really good. But just from that, I didn't get any of that here, and I think it's because he's trying to play Harry older than he was in the series and when we normally see him depicted. I think part of it, too, is just because, even though I've watched season 12, Harry is just a companion that left no impact on me, probably given the circumstances. You know, if you're not familiar, Harry Sullivan was originally written into the show during the conceptual phase when they decided to go with the idea that the Doctor was going to be an older man again, similar to William Hartnell. So they wanted a younger companion, like Ian or Stephen in the first Doctor era, to kind of do the more action stuff. And then it became very quickly obvious that when Tom Baker was cast as the fourth Doctor, that Harry was redundant. So in Tom's following season, season 13, Harry was written out. And it's very obvious if you watch season 12. It's that change from the original idea for the fourth Doctor into what Tom Baker made it. It is very obvious how useless Harry is. And I don't mean to talk down the way the characters talk down to him, but narratively, you can see he kind of serves no purpose. In fact, I think every time that TARDIS team splits up, it's the Doctor and Harry, and then Sarah on her own. It really just shows that Harry really didn't serve a purpose once the reason he was created changed. And I think that leads to just Harry having no impact on me, and why I didn't really feel strongly for Chris's performance in this set. That was a weird tangent. And then, okay, so now I gotta talk about this one, because again, this is the big thing I was kind of spoiling. Michael Maloney is our villain for the story, the Renegade. Because we very quickly get the reveal that this is another incarnation of the integer. Now, first of all, if you don't get this is kind of a math joke. The definition of an integer is any whole number that's not a decimal, negative, or fraction. So, the integer, as I call him, is a Time Lord who suffers from a condition called regenerative dissonance. In real-world application, I am sorry, I'm going to get the terminology wrong here, because as we learn more and more, obviously the terminology and the nomenclature change around it. The integer is essentially a Time Lord with schizophrenia or dissociative identity disorder or multiple personality disorder. The idea is that every time he or she regenerates, their previous personality doesn't go away. They get a new face and a new persona, but the previous personas still exist in their head. The integer was originally created for the 8th Doctor box set Doom Coalition, where he was first played as the 11, and that's why I call him the integer, because they have decided to just go by, as a name, the number of the regeneration they're on. So, we first meet him in an 8th Doctor story arc as the 11, played by Mark Bonar, who is the most famous incarnation of the integer. We have had others throughout the series, like we've had Julia Mackenzie as the 12, or we've had John Heffernan as the 9, who is my favorite incarnation of the integer. So Michael Maloney is the 2. The earliest incarnation we've seen yet, and arguably the first incarnation of the integer, obviously, because there was no one in their mind as the 1. And he's really good, too. It's a performance I want to see more of, because I feel like we got the tip of the iceberg. We really haven't seen enough of what the 2 is as a character compared to the 9 or the 11 or the 12. And I just would like to see them see more. They are really good with both Christopher Naylor and Colin Baker. And also, furthermore, too, I'm going to wrap up here. pretty soon. This feels like we're 4 stories in now. I don't remember how many we have left. I think it's like 3 or 4. And it feels like we've finally gotten another answer in this puzzle. In the overarching story arc of Once and Future, it feels like we've got another piece of this puzzle into the overarching story arc of the Doctor's degeneration. You know, and we haven't gotten that since Past Lives, you know. So the Doctor, to refresh, the Doctor in Past Lives believes the monk was responsible for his degeneration. And when the Doctor finds him, the monk says he has no memory of this event, so it may happen in his future, which very strongly implies before Once and Future ends, the monk will be back. And it feels like we've gotten another piece of the puzzle here. So as I kind of mentioned, and now I'm going to bring it up again, the 6th Doctor, Harry Sullivan, Jackie Tyler, and Lady Christina D'Souza seems like a very bizarre combination. You know, like someone was just throwing darts at a dartboard just to see, and just wrote whatever got pinned. But to its credit, the story knows that. The story acknowledges that. Because it is by design, this random team-up that has happened, you know. When the Doctor first arrives in London of 2006, he receives a message telling him to go to where Harry is working. Similarly, Jackie got a referral saying that Lady Christina was looking for a cleaner, was looking to hire someone as a cleaning lady. And, you know, these events led to everyone meeting up, of course. I'm not going to, like, here's the thing. Nothing is ever said directly, but it's also very clear who engineered this. This entire story, this completely random team-up, was engineered to happen. And it is very obvious who engineered it. I feel, and we'll see what happens as the stories come out, but it leads me to believe that we will be seeing another character show up very soon. So yeah, I don't have much more to say. Of the 4 we've got so far, Two's Company is my second favorite story in Once and Future. So it's The Artist at the End of Time, Two's Company, A Genius for War, and Past Lives. It differentiates itself from the previous stories by going for a different tone and a different scale and a different style. It's very funny, and the performances are really great. That's all I have to say. Have you listened to Two's Company? Please, I invite you to start a conversation in the comments below. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Click the bell next to subscribe to get notifications when I upload. And join me next month, where the Doctor's degeneration effect will take a very different turn. Because next month, it's the 10th Doctor's turn in the Martian invasion of Planetoid 50. This is Sir Jedi Sentinel, and I'll see you guys next time.